welcome back to the podcast. As we're speaking, this is the first week of the Open here, March 1st. So took another week off, and we are back in action now for quite a while. We'll be on the whole time through the Open, and today we have a special guest, Matt Timmons. So if you guys don't know Matt's kind of a quiet guy, so he's not like jumping out in front of the crowd and, just chopping it up with everyone. But Matt is a really special member here. He has been a member for close to 12 years?
Yep.
Okay. Did you go to the old Rogue Gym at all?
So I actually went to the old Rogue Gym for elements and then tore my ACL the next week.
Okay.
I came back when we went back to
How'd you do that?
rugby. Yeah.
I thought I remembered you very vaguely. I remember everyone from those early elements at the old Rogue. I'm like, I think he was an old Rogue guy, maybe for just a very short period of time. So very short.
Very short, yeah.
An element, a week. And then basically ever since we moved it to the Grandview location at Kinnear. And then through all of that, so Matt's a really good athlete, and he, he's really strong and does good work in here. But through this, and a big reason I wanted to have him on is Matt has ran into quite a bit of adversity, injuries, some medical problems through that 12-year journey and had to take time off, real necessary time off, but has consistently kind of worked around it and worked through it. Used barbell, done some power hour when he couldn't do CrossFit, used all the programs and the things that we do to keep coming back, getting healthy, getting stronger. I'd like to let you kind of give us maybe just a basic rundown of where you started. You could even start with that rugby, came to elements, the rugby injury, and then kind of go from there. And then, we'll maybe jump in here and interject where there's spots that I can really remember that were really cool, where I just was like, holy crap, Matt's back and he is crushing it. So.
Sure. So before I started CrossFit, I had torn my ACL once before. And the first surgery, I had both meniscus, MCL, ACL. And then.
What was that from?
Rugby.
Okay, another rugby injury. Rugby and soccer tend to be not easy on the ACLs.
Yeah.
Was that cutting or someone falling into your leg?
Cutting. I had a divot in the field and tried to cut with a player and folded. And then the second knee surgery was right after elements the first time. Again, that was everything, ACL, MCL, both meniscus. And then I ended up having a third knee surgery before I ever came back. I went through elements at the old gym. And that was supposed to be just a meniscus surgery, ended up being microfracture surgery. So that went from a 6-week recovery to about a 9-month recovery. So that was...
What is that surgery?
So it's supposed to help regenerate
They don't even really do it anymore.
Right. Greg Oden had it done, and you can see what happened to him. So they kind of just drill holes in your femur to try to help regenerate growth.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So and then afterwards, you're in this machine that moves your leg around for 6 weeks, 8 hours a day.
Wow.
So yeah, it was tough.
Intense.
Yeah.
So that was all before you started. So you went through elements, then you had the one injury, and then on the same knee, they did that third surgery.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So all 3 surgeries on the left knee. And then about 5 years ago at this point, I was in a car wreck and herniated some discs. Didn't realize it at the time how bad my back was messed up. So try to just push through it. Went about a year, and then it got to the point where I was having trouble walking. Every time I came to the gym, it would take me 15 minutes in my car to settle down before I could drive home. Was supposed to have surgery at one point, and then insurance kept denying it. Ended up being another full year before it got approved. I ended up having to switch jobs to get better insurance. And then at that point, some of the nerve damage in my lower leg was permanent, so I still deal with that. But then I had back surgery. There was about a 6-month period where I was really concerned, I was never going to work out again. I think I remember having a conversation with you saying, I'm never going to lift heavy again. And then about 6 months later, things started to get better, and I just kept kind of pushing through it. And
so that was another surgery. You think still from that accident, like you
yeah,
had two surgeries from that accident?
No, just one surgery.
Just had the
okay.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
But also during the recovery of the back surgery, I had he was 2 at the time, my son, and he put a juke on me after maybe 3 weeks after surgery. I tore my ACL again. So I have a torn ACL right now.
Oh, jeez.
But I talked to a surgeon. He's just like, you can
Let it
go through it. Yeah. So, but yeah, after the back surgery, things got better. I still deal with some back issues occasionally, but it's definitely much better, and I'm able to do most workouts now. So.
Wow.
What type of back surgery was that?
Discectomy, L5S1.
That's the area.
Yeah.
So, when Matt says it got better, where it got good. So his back was extremely strong. So I remember when Matt was going through all of this, and then Matt was doing some power hour with me, and then he was really ramping it back up in CrossFit. And then it was right at the end of 2021, kind of in the fall when we do our total, Matt he had ramped it right back up. And then we were in the same class, and I had really been hitting the power hour super hard. And in that same class, it was really fun because we were lifting and we were really getting after it. Both of us were really focused, and we did our totals that day, and we both cleared 500-pound deadlifts. And I think Matt actually, because I was like, man, I had the best total I'd ever had when we had done those. And then I looked at the end, and I think Matt had the best rogue total in the entire gym for that day. So when we test our big fall training cycle, what did you end up pulling that day? It was like a 530 or was
535.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And what were your other lifts?
I think at that point, my front squat was 365 and strict press was like 210.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he had the best in the whole gym.
Yeah.
It was really like he put together 3 really impressive lifts, and like with, those type of injuries going into it, it was like, I just remember like I was super fired up, and then I'd look back at Matt and he was like adding more weight. I'm like, oh man, he's getting after it. He's going for it. And I'm like, I just remembered everything you had been through right before that. And I think what was so inspiring to me with that is I've been through not severe injuries where I'm like getting cut and having to have surgeries, but I've had some significant setbacks that have like taken some time, and ones that you think, and like how we've had those conversations where you're like, man, I don't know if I'm coming back from this, like in a way that I can do some of these things. And then for us to both be in that same class, like I hadn't lifted super heavy, maybe the 2 or 3 years previous to that. And, really hadn't deadlifted over like 4 plates or something. And then I was, basically putting 5 on, and like, I was just so pumped up for, like a month after that, So it was really, really cool to see you do that. And then just in general, like thriving in a lot of these workouts with having some of these injuries, like it's really fun. Like me and Matt have done quite a bit of just happen to be in the same class on like the Team Tuesday days. And really push each other really good on those. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, so like, okay, so you got hurt. You were able to come back. If someone's going through like a big injury like that and they think, I don't think I can make it back, or I don't think, like what would be a tip, or what's something that you felt like helped you crawl back from, a big surgery, or like, and I think I have like some nerve damage, or, my knee's messed up. Like, sure. What are some things maybe that you think have helped you?
Yeah, I think when you go through something like that, the hardest part is the mental struggle. Mm-hmm. And I think just being in a gym, even if you're not able to do the lifts you want to do, being around people that you're used to seeing other people work out, it's really important. And talking to other people who have gone through similar experiences or have dealt with injuries and how they've come back, I think that's also key. I mean, a lot of people in our gym have had different injuries. So just picking their brain about what they could do, what they couldn't do, what to back off on, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then pick and choosing your workouts as you come back. I think that's important. It's not something you want to do long term. You want to kind of get everything you can in, but knowing workouts that won't really be detrimental to whatever you hurt or whatever you had surgery on is important.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know you personally super, super well, but I've known you for a long time. I don't imagine that you're a person that's just super social all the time, that like, hey, I want to be around people all the time. So I think, in your situation, it'd probably be easy to isolate and just be like, hey, or I'm just going to go to this Globo gym and do my own thing. But to realize that you have to be around people and that's really important for you is pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, it's not even socializing per se. It's just seeing people move and knowing that, if they can do it, I can do it.
No, I'm the same. Yeah. Yeah. I see someone else hurt and it inspires you to kind of, hurt in a different way. Like
Sure.
Push yourself. We're talking about all these injuries. Just break your ear, hold back again.
But yeah, I think just being in here and seeing people that you're used to seeing is important for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see a guy like Rex or something who, he just had a shoulder surgery. He's 60 years old and he's been in athletics for, 40 plus years and training hard, marathons, CrossFit competitions, everything for a long time. I've seen Rex around for close to 15 years and he's relentlessly not stopped. And to see that guy, he has that shoulder surgery and he is, and you just see him, he's almost back. I just saw him the other day and I'm like, he had this surgery a few months ago and he's almost back. Rex is an extreme example, obviously, of gutting through it and being super tough. I think Rex is like the toughest person I probably know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so much of his identity, and it always has been. And I'm sure did you play rugby in college? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sure that's part of like your identity too, but it's not like what you do for work, right? No. You could absolutely let that part of your life go. So what is the driving force that made you come back when you felt like so low?
Yeah, so there were a couple different things. One's just to try to be a role model for my son. I didn't want to let myself just go and let these injuries kind of, determine how I was going to live my life. I knew, especially with the back surgery, there was a time frame where I was just like, there's no coming back from this. I'm not going to be able to really move ever again. I didn't think I was ever going to even be able to jog at one point. So that was a big motivational factor, and just seeing like how you view yourself and knowing what you're capable of, and obviously like thinking to yourself, it's a comeback. Like you're capable of doing something like that. It's important to keep that in mind.
There's always just this belief that you could do it.
Yeah.
From that to a 535-pound deadlift that's wild.
Yeah.
Really cool. And that's when you do something, and like, here's the thing. I remember talking to Matt, like during when we were doing this, like, and I've back injuries early in my kind of CrossFit thing where like my like Achilles heel and haven't been in years, but that was like my thing that was like, I have a bad back. And I started to understand like because for a long time when Matt was coming back, I was like, I tried to like help him a little bit, like, hey, be careful. Let's stop you right there. Being, having that coach mind. And then when he was lifting and I'm kind of peeking back, he's got 3 plates on there. I kind of blank. He's throwing another one on there. And I'm like, I hadn't seen him lift heavy deadlifts in a long time, like a long, long time. And I was like, Matt, are you all right? He was just, I just saw this like look, he was just like focused, like good. And the thing is I knew that feeling, like when you're back and all that shit finally feels better and you're like, it's just like, go ahead and go, because this is going to like the confidence it'll give you to do that and to accomplish it. Yeah. You're putting yourself at a little bit of risk there when you're messing with weights that heavy, but it's like when you do that, when you hit that lift, it's like a little bit of a life changer for a while. Like You're like, man, I'm back. Like there's there's nothing wrong with me anymore. You know, like when you have the capacity to do that, it's like a supra like capacity, like a 500 plus pound deadlift isn't like okay, hey, I have a stable back. Like that's more than compensating for like a stable back. Like you're really strong now.
And I think that's so important to do as you age too. Like, you know, having kids, having more on your plate or just whatever, it doesn't matter as you age. But like to say, okay, I did this a couple years ago. Now, you know, now it's time for something else, whether that's like a fast run or, you know, doing the open, like you're doing the open now. I think it's just really important to keep showing yourself that you can do things.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what so many people let go of because it's just hard.
Yeah. And it
Simply-
seems daunting. Like everything just seems overwhelming at a point when you're in a lot of pain. So believing in yourself and just slowly coming back is it's a good feeling.
Yeah. And you know your body really well. Like I've seen you on runs and workouts, like you just know when to push, when to pull back. And I think just kind of going within and feeling that too. And because I think, you know, people kind of have like a plan, like, okay, I'm going to micromanage this down to like every second of every day. And if your body's not there, just like, you know.
And I remember talking to Brandon about this before. You can't just go all out on every workout.
Yeah.
Especially as you age, you have to listen to your body. Some workouts at 80% are fine.
Right.
You're still getting in, you're moving,
Right.
you're getting a sweat. And that's,
I say that more than I've been able to maybe like complete. I'm banged up right now and I've got some stuff going on. And that's really good for, I think, a lot of people to hear is like, you don't have to. What's cool about CrossFit is it gamifies these workouts. It puts a time and a metric on it, and it makes you try harder because of that. So what you end up doing is having some more intensity on workouts rather than like kind of doing the walk around the gym, Globo gym thing. You know, the caveat to that is 100% workouts. That even works fine, maybe even for a few years it can. But at some point, you start blowing gaskets mentally, physically, and all different ways. So then as you age to that point, you have to have days where it's like, I'm moderately trying, I'm going through the workout, I'm hitting the range of motion, I'm getting a good sweat in, my metabolism's getting up. I might be getting a little better at a skill. I'm working on a skill in the workout, but pushing just simple, stronger, faster, more explosive every day is definitely a recipe for disaster.
And like your risk reward calculus changes as you know, especially of injuries. And when you were talking about kind of looking back at him like, oh, it's on, like he's really confident now. I think that's the hard part about coming back from injuries. Your body is healed, but sometimes you are overly cautious for a while because you're just scared that you're going to be back in that place again. And that's a valid concern.
Right.
But it's so, I think it's important to kind of hit your stride mentally again and being like, okay, I've worked up to this point. I can push myself a little bit more. And, you know, I probably like a neuroscientist could explain this better, but I mean, your like brain can kind of like cause pain, right? Like things can be healed and everything good, but you've been so used to like sending pain to that area that sometimes when you just kind of like let that go, it can go away.
There's like it's almost like it's neurological.
Yeah, it's like a mind-body
or
connection.
something.
Yeah. So
like when I hurt my
is a
back
thing.
2 weeks ago, everyone's like, "Oh, were you lifting with Jack?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. I did nothing for my back for like 3 days before, and then I was like spasming in here, and I couldn't even like roll over. I was like bawling. And then I was like, oh, cool. I'm flying to Key West tomorrow. This is going to be awesome. And it's still like, but it doesn't make any sense except for I was stressed out. That's it. Like I remember waking up that morning and feeling so tired. And by the time I was leaving, like after getting the kids ready, I was like, man, my back just feels a little weird. And I went to swing a blue kettlebell to like chest height, and it was like started locking up, and then I couldn't even do walking lunges. And Lexi's like, hey, we're just going to scrap all of this. Just come sit on the bike with me. And sometimes you just got to like let your ego go all the way without any sort of anger and just like, fuck it, like whatever. And now I'm going to go to the old school gym in Key West and do leg extensions and curls with 20 pounds. I don't give a shit. Like I'm just moving and like literally not thinking. And I think, you know, Brandon, we're working out together now. He has a hard time. Like he's always like, this is 32% of my max. Like, I don't think about any of that. I'm like, this is where it's at today. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care what I've done before. And I think I think you have to do that, whether it's running a certain 5K time. Like I still really enjoy running. Last year I was super slow. I was like, whatever. I actually still enjoy running, even if it's slow. Like it might just not be there for me today. That's not going to be, if I'm always this slow, I still want to go out and play, you know?
Matt, did I ever turn you on to any of like the like Sarno books and stuff like that? Like the back pain ones or any of those, like, so that I occasionally I'll turn some people on because I've really studied a lot of it and I've been kind of stuck in this loop recently where I've had a couple things like I'm playing whack-a-mole with some injuries that are like really like ones that kind of chronically will bother. Like I have this like nerve thing kind of in my arm and then a hip pain that I cannot shake right now. And but it's kind of this underlying anxiety goes with it. So it's just like when I have all of that going on, there's just this certain like level of like bubbling anxiety. And what I've read is like kind of these like neural circuits get revved up. And to Dave's point, what he was just talking about, like once you hit like a lift or you do something, you change the way suddenly you go from like this low line, like anxiety or like sort of almost depression to like you click on endorphins. All of a sudden, all that pain stops and the muscles and everything lock in and they feel good again. And it turns quick when it does, when it happens. Have you kind of felt that before?
Yeah. So a lot of times, even now, I'll my back or my leg will be hurting during warm up, and then as soon as the countdown from 10, it'll go away.
Yeah, I've had that so many times too.
And,
yeah,
you're able to go.
So you're saying I should do the open workout with you tomorrow?
Deal. Yeah.
What time are you doing it? 8?
No, that early. Yeah.
If I'm doing it, Kate, you have to do it.
Oh, damn. Are you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you just shook your head no and said, yeah.
I'm doing it.
Did you put
Are you just lying to me?
No, Brad already asked me this morning.
What's that?
I was going to do it anyway, but then he asked me.
A vest?
Okay.
No, guess.
What time are you doing
Like
it?
you usually guess what workout.
We'll see.
Oh, no, I didn't guess it. No. Yeah, in the past, I was really good at guessing the open workouts. I think I got a few right.
Yeah.
I like literally
you were on it with the
named them.
shuttle runs last year, and they got real big with the shuttle runs. So now it seems like they're doing like just something super low skill to get everybody.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think
Good for me.
I guessed the completely like 2 of the workouts like right on, and we actually like did them maybe the week before. I know for sure I guessed when they were doing 11.1 again in 2014. It was a snatch double under one. I like called it. I was like, they're going to repeat this for the first workout. We did it the week before at the gym. And that's when, the open was huge and like the whole gym was revved up. We did it the week before. And then that next week, I will say our gym in general absolutely demolished that workout because I was guessing it and I was like pushing programming points towards that workout. So that first workout they did really well on. And then trying to think of another one. I think I guessed, I did guess maybe like close to one, like the movements. I can't remember which one.
You're like a mystic that people go to.
Yeah.
So what do you think next week's going to be then?
I don't know. I think I have no idea. I'm not good
Matt's
at it
looking at like you know.
No. So when they switched the format, it's trickier now because they were picking people for regionals out of the open, and they were kind of throwing it was almost like a blend of what now quarterfinals is and the open. So they'd throw a little bit harder stuff. Now they sort of wait until the last workout with this format. Although last year it was pretty skillful straight through. Like all the workouts, they had like ring muscle ups in the first workout, handstand push-ups in the last, heavy lift in the second one. So it was a pretty balanced competition. I think this year they opened up to like the top 25% make it through. So I think they will probably keep it a little more simplified, maybe even in the second one. I wouldn't doubt, I think we'll see a toe to bar or a pull up, some sort of hanging movement next week. And probably like a squat. Could be wall ball, could be squat clean, but some sort of a squatting movement because it's all pulling and pushing off the ground. So that's my guess.
What we'll be practicing all week, huh?
Yeah. So I always try and hit what I think they're going to do for the open, like on like Monday and Tuesday. And I might even separate the movements. So like next week, we'll squat on Monday and do like squat based workout Monday. And then we'll do like pull-ups and hanging stuff Tuesday. And then that gives you a couple days to sort of like let that stuff recover for hitting that workout, you know, Friday or Saturday or Sunday. So that's kind of how I plan for it. But yeah.
So, Matt, do you have any goals right now? I mean, besides the open or like how to do in it or?
Yeah. So I tweaked my back again during the CrossFit Total in December. And so I've been trying to work my way back from that.
Yeah. You keep saying he's doing though. I think he's actually not. I think he's waiting for his back to kind of like.
Yeah. I'm going to do the workouts, but I'm not going to.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. I didn't know. Yeah.
But yeah, so just trying to get my back to be to where it was and then really start ramping things up as we move towards summer. Just get myself ready to run and stuff like that.
Summer shred?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should bring your wife.
Yeah, she'll do it.
Yeah,
She'll do it.
that'd be fun. And we have childcare too. So yeah. Cool. Really cool. And you always enjoy running, right?
Yeah. There was a time frame where it was really difficult for me to run because of the nerve pain. So I got really, really bad at running for a while.
Yeah.
Really bad.
That's so depressing to come back from, especially if you consider yourself a good runner. It's like such an identity, at least for me, to be like real slow. It's just
yeah. The combination of the back and then the torn ACL again, and it was like I'm running 12-minute miles.
Yeah. How's
your knee feel now when you run?
So it feels okay. It depends on the weather, honestly. The warmer it is, the better it feels.
Okay.
So it's been tough to run during the winter, but it's starting to feel a little bit better as it gets a little warmer.
Okay.
What's your current workout schedule like?
So unfortunately, my travel schedule for work has been crazy. So I've been just trying to get in when I can get in. I still try to do at least 4 workouts a week. One or two of those have been on the road for like the last couple of months.
Okay.
So I'm getting in here like 2 or 3 times a week. And typically it's been mostly Rev or CrossFit. Power Hour, it's hard. When I do Power Hour, I want to do Power Hour and Rev. Just because for me, it's easier. Like strength is just always been easier for me. It was cardio's been the struggle. Yeah. So kind of focus on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Although I enjoy Power Hour a lot. I feel like I definitely excel in that compared to everything else. But
that's good. It's like your medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's funny. I would have actually said, I think even conditioning, you always seem like really conditioned to me, but that makes sense. Well, I don't have anything else if you don't.
Cool. No, I think this is, I kind of want to like sum this up with, Matt's story is super inspiring. And I think, if someone hears this who has kind of gone through something like this or is going through maybe some injury issues, that there is, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It can and will get better. And, we have affiliate back here who can be extremely helpful in working you back into things. And then, to tell you the truth, I think, I hate to say this, but I've been through, a fair amount myself and then I've trained people through it. I'm not a bad resource to at least like help talk people through it. So if you guys ever have any issues similar to Matt too, like, you can shoot me an email like Brandon@CrossFitGrandview.com and I can help at least, from my experience or things that I've seen in the gym help, ease you back in. I actually do a good amount of individual design too for people to help them work their way back in. So it's like a bridge. So if they get hurt, and they want to come back, and it can even be for extended periods of time, 3-4 months.
It's like what you and I are doing now.
Yeah. So it's kind of what I'm doing right now. I did, a good, hard, solid year of 4 or 5 days a week of CrossFit classes, and just kind of ran into some issues this last, 5 or 6 weeks, and had to take a step back and like, okay, don't want to keep pissing stuff off, just to Matt's point, and have some programs that I've written. So then help people back. And I'm basically modifying those for us. You've got, a back issue, and then I have like a hip and a shoulder type thing, and kind of modifying it for us so we can train together and have a bit of like a feel like you're doing something with someone, and then kind of work back into it, the spring, get back into summer shred and doing all that. So just know that like we're here, we're resources if you guys have any issues, because this is a very real thing with CrossFit and people who are really driven in CrossFit. You hold yourself to a very high standard, especially after you've set one in here. And it's hard when you get knocked off that to come back, and it can be really disconcerting. It can cause a lot of anxiety. And there's a lot of different things, not just the programming, but, things like meditation that, we do, and some reading and things to kind of get the nervous system calmed down and give you confidence to get back into class. So just know I'm a resource. And then we've had a lot of people, you're not alone. Like we've had a lot of people go through it. And, whenever I'll talk to someone like Matt, who's been through way worse than anything I have, I'm like, okay, like, dude, you're all right. Like you're going to get back. This dude's had surgeries. He's ripped his ACLs apart, and then he's in here right back
like
at
a
it.
movie.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So
It's like the Terminator.
super inspiring. I appreciate you coming on and
Thanks for having me.
chatting here,
Thanks,
man.
Matt.
Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks.